Today I'd like to talk about goal setting and more generally action taking from the perspective of acceptance and commitment therapy. Committed action means taking larger and larger patterns of effective action guided and motivated by values. It also points to flexible action, readily adapting to the challenges of the situation and either persisting with or changing behavior as required. In other words, doing what it takes to live by our values. Committed actions are the stepping stones that translate our values into ongoing, evolving patterns of action that we put out into the world. In order to do this, we use values to set goals and break those goals down into specific actions. We then do our best to commit to the actions that we've put down. We can also identify barriers to action, like getting stuck, and overcome them using other ACT skills. For example, using diffusion skills to let go of sticky thoughts that could get us all stuck. Committed action isn't just taking action. According to the ACT framework, the action should be in the service of a value so that it becomes meaningful. That's where the commitment part comes in. We're committing our behavior to the value. By the way, if you keep hearing this values word and you're not sure what I'm going on about, be sure to click on the link here to line up the values video to watch after this one. There are 4 basic steps to committed action. 1. Choose a domain of life that's a high priority for change. 2. Choose the values to pursue in this domain. 3. Develop goals guided by those values. And 4. Take action mindfully. The ultimate aim is to generalize this approach into larger and larger patterns of committed, values-guided action, creating a domino effect that spills over into all the domains of your life. It should also be noted that committed action scales as well. For example, cleaning your room for a few hours is similar to participating in Clean Up Australia Day, just on a different scale. I'm sure I'll have more to say about this concept in another video, but here it's important because sometimes our mind convinces us that the thing we're trying to do is too simple or not big enough in scale or important enough. The best part of this is that as we master the smaller things, we reinforce the patterns within ourselves for the bigger things. It's like leveling up in a video game. It works best when we master the smaller, simpler moves and add complexity and skill as we level up. Let's now look at the 3 steps to setting values-based goals. The first step is choosing a domain of life to work on. Start with 1 or 2. Some examples are work, health, education, social, parenting, intimate partner, family, spirituality, community, environment, leisure, and personal growth. The second step is to set a SMART goal. You may have seen the concept of the SMART goal around the place, but this one is the ACT version of the SMART goal and a little different. SMART is an acronym for the following. S is for specific. Specify the actions that you'll take, when and where you'll do so, and who or what is involved. For example, this is a vague or non-specific goal. I'll spend more time with my kids. This is a specific goal. I will take the kids to the park on Saturday afternoon at 3 p.m. to kick the footy around. Make your goals specific enough so that you can easily tell whether you've done it or not. M stands for meaningful. If this goal is genuinely guided by your values, as opposed to following a rigid rule or trying to please others or trying to avoid some pain, then it will be personally meaningful. If it lacks a sense of meaning or purpose, check in and see if it's really guided by your values. A is for adaptive. Does the goal help you to head in a direction that, as far as you can predict, is likely to improve, enrich, or enhance your quality of life? Next is R for realistic. The goal should be realistically achievable. Take into account your health, competing demands on your time, financial status, and whether you have the skills to achieve it. Finally, we have T for time-framed. To increase the specificity of your goal, set a day, date, and time for it. If this isn't possible, set as accurate a time frame as you possibly can. The third step is to consider whether the values-based goals are 1. An immediate goal, something small, simple, and easy that I can do in the next 24 hours. 2. A short-term goal I can do over the next few days or weeks. 3. Medium-term goal, things I can do over the next few weeks and months. Or 4. A long-term goal, things I can do over the next few months and years. ACT tries to encourage people to make what it calls living person's goals instead of dead person's goals. This sounds a bit dramatic, but it basically means when setting goals, try not to set a goal that a dead person can do also. For example, I'll stop eating junk food. Well, a dead person doesn't eat junk food either. Instead, a better goal, according to ACT, is something like, I'll eat healthier whole foods more often. This is a living person's goal as it's something I can do more of. I'll stop drinking alcohol becomes, I will have healthier and less damaging beverages when I'm out with my friends. I'll stop playing video games becomes, I'll start using the time I dedicated to games to developing a new skill like learning a language or playing a musical instrument. You can then use the SMART method we just talked about to really bring it home. The following are some helpful acronyms to think about what some of the barriers to action could be. The first acronym, which will be a surprise to no one, is FEAR, where F stands for fusion, as in fusing with thoughts such as, I'm too busy, I can't do it, I'll fail, it's too hard. E stands for excessive goals, and this can happen when our goals exceed our resources, such as skills, time, money, and physical health. Another way to think of this is how realistic the goal is or isn't. A is of course an ACT favorite, avoidance of discomfort. This is such a big topic that it could have its own video. Come to think of it, stay tuned. But for now, it's important to know that change gives rise to uncomfortable feelings, commonly anxiety. If we're not willing to accept discomfort, we won't move forward and risk being stuck in our comfort zones. R stands for remoteness from values. As you must know by now, if you've watched any of my ACT videos, that connecting to values is an essential ingredient for things to work out here. When we don't do this, we may end up asking ourselves things like, why are we bothering to put in all this hard effort? The clarification of values is a challenging but rewarding step and may take the help of someone objective, like, say, your local friendly psychologist. Okay, so let's end the video with some strategies to counteract all that fear we talked about from before. I present to you another acronym, of course, because the best way to counter one acronym is with another. I present to you DARE, where D stands for diffusion, a very handy strategy in lessening the impacts of fusion. I have a free video of this for anyone interested, though it's behind a sign-up wall on my website because gaining traction with videos is a tough gig. That said, and more seriously, if anyone wants to see all of the different diffusion methods, drop a comment and I can send it to you. A stands for acceptance of discomfort, which sounds easy to say and challenging to do, but very rewarding when able to be done. I would probably recommend developing the skill of mindfulness of the breath, followed by mindfulness of emotion or body scan. This will start the process of developing neutrality at the very least in reaction to your distress when you experience it. R stands for realistic goals. Keep in mind, if we lack the necessary resources, we could create new goals to acquire them. Or if it's not possible to get the resources, then we could accept limitations and change our goals to adapt in the best possible way, which can be done using the scaling thing I spoke about earlier, or managing to create a different stepping stone that honors the value in question still. Speaking of values, E stands for embracing values. Just give in. At this point, you have to embrace the fact that aligning with your values is the only way forward. Just kidding, but seriously. Let's look at public commitments. People are far more likely to follow through on public commitments than private ones. So, say out loud to your therapist, other people in your life, or even your imaginary friend what you intend to do, and you'll be more likely to stick to it. When you speak your commitments out loud, it's common to experience uncomfortable thoughts and feelings, but we already know what to do with those, right? Defusion, acceptance, mindfulness. You've got a proper toolkit by now. Also consider the following. What's the smallest, tiniest, simplest, easiest step you can take in the next 24 hours that'll take you a little bit further in that direction? Being focused on big goals can pull you out of living in the present and potentially get sucked into the mindset of, I'll be happy once I've achieved this goal. You risk not achieving it, or it takes longer than you expected, or it may not make you feel happy even when you do achieve it. So to quote the Tao Te Ching, the journey of 1,000 miles begins with one step. Even our beloved Aesop knows about this wisdom when he says, little by little does the trick. Living our values is a never-ending journey. It continues until the moment of our final breath. And every little step, no matter how tiny, is a valid and meaningful part of that journey. So you've made the commitment, you've declared it publicly, and you even took that first step. And then you stopped. It's a given that from time to time, you'll break a commitment. That's called being a real human, not a fictitious superhero. It's unrealistic to expect that we'll always live by our values and follow through on our commitments. What is realistic is to get better at it. We can get better at staying on track, faster at catching ourselves when we go off track, and better at getting back on track again. And when we do go off track, what helps is being kind and accepting towards ourselves. We accept the painful thoughts and feelings, then reconnect with our values and get moving again. Acceptance isn't giving up or resignation. It's the ability to make space for the pain of failing so that we can get up and try again, over and over again if that's what's needed. What doesn't help is beating ourselves up. I mean, if beating yourself up was a good way to change your behavior, wouldn't you be perfect by now? And so keep in mind these two commitment patterns and consider for yourself which one sounds better. Pattern 1, make a commitment, break a commitment, give up. Pattern 2, make a commitment, break a commitment, lick your wounds, pick yourself up, learn from the experience, get back on track, make another commitment. Pattern 1 embodies getting stuck, and pattern 2 embodies continuing growth. I hope you found this video on committed action helpful, and thank you for watching till the end. If you liked what you heard, please like, share, and subscribe for more videos like this in the future. Leave a comment if you want to comment, or have any suggestions on what other videos you might like to see. As always, for bookings and appointments, please call or reach us through our website, and I'll see you in the next one.